Now, earlier this year, Moira Deeming was exiled from the Victorian Liberal Party after attending a Let Women Speak rally. Well, Moira is with us now in the Melbourne studio to discuss that and lots more. Moira, great to see you. And thank you for coming on Outsiders. Now, Liberal victory last night. What did you make of it?
Oh, I'm just so excited. I think it's a fantastic win for the Liberal team, and I think it hats off to all the work that Ryan did beforehand, and to Nicole as well. She worked very, very hard, and she does know that community. And my heartiest congratulations to the team. It was a great win.
Rita.
But we've still got a Liberal Party right now that is floundering in the polls. If there was a state election today, we know what the result would be. It would not be pretty. You've been kicked out. I'm hearing reports that Renee Heath is under fire, another Conservative woman who, we're told the Liberals have a women problem, and yet they seem to be reinforcing that with their treatment of you. And now this... what I'm hearing is bullying of Renee. Can you tell us a little bit about that and whether or if she is under pressure by the party?
Well, since I've been expelled from the party room, it also means that I'm really cut off from all the internal party room discussions and things. I did hear earlier on, like we all did in the news, that one time where there was a challenge of her integrity over her minute-taking being too detailed. I'm not sure what's going on in there at the moment. I'm just trying to focus on clearing my name for my children, and then undoing the injustices that I believe that have been done to me, and then getting back in that party room. And I do hope that we all work out how to work together as soon as possible, because as we all know, Victorians really need a fully functioning opposition if we're going to get rid of Dan Andrews.
James.
And I want to ask, because you say that some people say the Liberals have a women problem. I think they've got more of a what is a women problem. But Rita had a very interesting point earlier in the show about Julia Gillard, who went out and said publicly she had this whole minutes and minutes of being unable to answer this question. I mean, what does it say now that essentially John Pesutto and the Liberal leadership here is on a unity ticket with Julia Gillard about not being able to even manage these issues with a clear statement that even Anthony Albanese can make, which is that a woman isn't a human female? Well,
Anthony Albanese was being tricky there too, because he was being asked about sports where they are already gender neutral, which is, before puberty. This question, this debate is something that is going on in every single political party. And I think what all these leaders need to understand is that beneath their level of, on-camera authority, pardon me, ordinary men and women, gay people, mums, dads, kids, females everywhere, we are the ones on a unity ticket that is more important. It's the biggest, most powerful issue to unite huge amounts of voters, because this is so important to us. And I think even if you want to hedge around it like Julia Gillard did, which was quite immoral, seeing as how it was under her own leadership that as the first female Prime Minister, she was the one who presided over the erasure of the exact definitions of male and female in the law, which is such a betrayal. And now she phrases any kind of questioning of that, any kind of complaints about the consequences as some kind of intolerance and not being nice enough, totally ignoring the very real consequences like rape and sexual harassment and, a lack of dignity that real women are facing. We just talked about lesbians not being able to hold their own events, That's not a pro-woman view. To back these laws is anti-woman, it's anti-safety, it's anti-child safeguarding. And that's why so many people from all these different political parties are united with me on this. So I think our unity ticket is the most important one. And the rest of these leaders, they're going to catch up one day and figure it out.
But that's what I can't understand. Just purely as far as your political nous goes, how Pesutto could stuff this up so comprehensively, because there you were speaking up for women's rights. You were attacked by these feral leftist activists. You were physically attacked that day, not just the cops told you you and your daughters aren't safe, you and your children have to go. It was grim. Then you had these interlopers, these extremists who were doing Nazi salutes, had nothing to do with you. And yet John Pesutto decided that he was going to be tougher on you than Dan Andrews was. He was going to basically connect you with people who associate with Nazis. Where is the political nous here? How are they not reading that the overwhelming majority of the country, Labor and Liberal voters, stand with you when it comes to this issue? That they don't believe that men belong in women's spaces. They don't believe that men belong in women's sports. This is something that the majority opinion seems to be completely disregarded by both Labor and state Liberals.
Well, I guess they really believed it, that everybody would turn on me, and to a large extent they were correct. You know, I was successfully defamed as having some kind of immoral, deliberate associations with Nazism, which was obviously deeply offensive, and it's not something that I want my children to go through, what I have had to live through. And it's just a total collapse of civil debate. I can't understand why they can't read the room on this. Once again, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I'm so grateful to all the left-wing women from the Greens and Labor who have come out at great personal cost to support me, even though we don't agree on other issues, just because we understand how fundamentally important this one is. You know, I can't speak for other people's actions. I don't understand them. I had to, my whole world
is it a fear of the media? Is it the fear of the trans activists? Because you would think someone who is floundering in the polls, as the Victorian Liberal leader is, when an issue presents itself, when the overwhelming majority of the state agrees with you, why wouldn't he take a position? Is it just the media that he is fearful of? Because of course the media is captured by this ideology as much as any activists.
I think it's a failure to understand the issues in order to take a strong stance on it, to articulate an easy argument against it. You know, now, every time they say that, you know, they always put the LGB in front of the TQ. And that's the issue. When we look around, we see that it was not difficult to accommodate for gay people. It wasn't difficult. Nothing really changed. We still had our standards about children are not sexual beings. We don't sexualise the classroom. Women still have rights. It's a multicultural society. There's space for everyone to live in their own ways and still work together. The problem with the transgender ideology in law is that it eradicates all those things. And I don't know if it's a failure to understand that, perhaps. And I think because it's always lumped in with the LGB, then yes, there is that fear. I often get called homophobic when I talk about the excessive transgender laws, and I just think you don't even understand what that word means.
Don't really understand the difference.
Yeah.
Well done for being brave enough to stand up and fight it. You've got your court action against John Pesutto, but while we've got while we've got time, just tell us a little bit about the rest of Moira Deeming, because you're associated with this, and you're very brave to be fighting it. But what other things do you stand for, and what other things do people in Victoria need to know that they're not hearing about you?
I'm just an ordinary middle-class mum from the suburbs. I was a teacher. I found out about these things and I didn't think that it was I just thought it was removing child safeguards. I considered myself as working for families, and it was an honour when families entrusted their children to me. I felt very privileged and I understood the honour of that, and I just wanted to help with that. But just in general, Victoria is suffering under this just increasing, creeping authoritarianism, even to the level of our thoughts. And as a history teacher, alarm bells are going off everywhere, and I just want to help tip the balance back towards proper, democratic, multicultural laws.
Fantastic. Moira Deeming, thanks so much for coming on Outsiders this morning. Fantastic to see you, and you're a hero for so many people. I know that. I saw you at CPAC. So many people, as you say, not only Conservatives, people across all walks of the political spectrum are supporting you, are behind you, and thank you for being so brave on behalf of so many.
Thank you for having me.